Places, please. Places for the top of Theater Countdown. Oh, I dreamed a dream of countdowns gone by.
And
here we
countdowns
are.
yet to come.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, that's about faith and hope, and isn't that what musical theater's all about? Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe. Sure. Impossible to say for sure. I guess that's show specific. But hi, everybody. It's me, your Broadway buddy, Ben Cameron, here with my good Juddy.
Hi, yes, Michael Judson Barry, also known as Juddy on this podcast, which I love.
Here and only on this podcast. If somebody
Yeah.
says it to you on the street, you're like, stop talking to me, weirdo.
Yeah, exactly. I just keep on walking.
Yeah, I noticed,
Those
'cause
boots were made for walking.
I've tried to
Not
stop you on
maybe-
the street several times, and you just blow right past me.
Which is shocking, because you march very quickly.
I know. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm approaching people with a march song in my heart, and that feels aggressive.
Maybe. Or we just assume you're marching, but you're like a lost member of a marching band, and we're just like, I don't know where he's going.
Yeah.
76 trombones went down 6th Avenue, and you're on 8th, so gotta go
Yeah,
over.
no one's doing a marching band parade down 8th Avenue. That's
No,
ridiculous.
literally nobody.
I can't even get a cab on 8th Avenue. I'm just trying to get a fit a marching band on 8th
I mean,
Avenue.
you can get a bunch of things on 8th Avenue, though. Probably just things that you don't want.
You can get a pre-rolled joint and a repa and chlamydia on 8th Avenue. So
basically.
throw the dice. Anyway, you're listening to Theater Countdown Podcast, the razzliest, dazzliest podcast this side of Broadway, baby. And we are back. It's good to be back again with a hot, fresh new episode. We're starting again at 10. This is the top of the countdown list. I'm happy to be here with you, Juddy.
Thank you. You too. I'm thrilled. I'm excited about this one. I thought this was going to be yet another easy countdown, and it proved to be incredibly difficult.
Until you realize,
So,
well, you've probably read when you click the button to get your ears on us today, that today we're talking about musicals that should be made into musical films.
yes.
Which the trick about this is as you start researching, so many of them have been made into movies.
That was the problem, and I should have known this because I'm a TCM nerd. Like, I grew up watching old movies. I mean, I've talked about Unsinkable Molly Brown and Debbie Reynolds how many times?
A million times.
And so I thought, but I was like, surely all of my favorite musicals have not been turned into movies. They have, and even like weird little indie versions where I was like, wait, that's a movie? Or it's so based on a movie that I almost didn't want to choose it. So it's like the movie version would just be the movie again. And this works because it's like specifically the stage version of the film, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can only make so many musical biopics.
Yeah. Well,
so-
and quite honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not interested in musicalizing the bio musicals. I'm not interested in seeing the Cher show in cinemas.
Is it bad that the Cher show was the first one I thought of?
Is that on your- okay, don't
I
tell me. Is that
loved
on your
the
list?
Cher show.
So did
And
I.
And I absolutely loved it. I saw it twice. I had the best time at that show. And I was like, ooh, this can't be a movie. They should
No,
just
but
make
what
a
would
movie
that-
about Cher.
Yeah,
but not this.
because what would that be? It would be 3 Cher impersonators.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's tough.
It was tougher than I thought it was going to be too, because I thought there would just be huge gaps. So I'd be like, "This musical that I love." But
Yeah.
one of the tricky things was that I noticed is a lot of the golden age and classic musicals, almost all of them that would be considered quote unquote hit musicals, that are the ones that we're really aware of that had hefty runs, have all been made into movies.
Yeah. All the ones about towns, which are most of my favorites. On the Town, Wonderful Town, New Girl in Town. Any show that took place in a town that I love, they've already made into a movie.
Little Town, It's a Quiet Village, that's been made into I'm going to say polarizing things now, a terrible live action Disney movie.
It's been made into a movie multiple times.
Yeah,
Although there are some movie musicals that I feel like deserve better, if that makes sense.
Okay.
There are certain ones that have been turned into movies, and I'm like, this should just be made into a movie again.
Forget it, strike it from the record, and let's restart it. I had so many of those in my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, but this movie surely can't count.
I know, because it was just like that's not the adaptation that show deserves.
Phantom of the Opera still could be a really great movie, and yet it exists as an awful movie.
And Sweeney Todd.
Oh!
And Nine.
Oh!
Like,
I know. It hurt the heart a little bit.
The producers.
The producers?
The producers.
Those fellas had a nose full of nickels. The producers. I'll tell you what for. I did look it up, though.
Not for nothing.
Where
does it come from?
I just looked it up. I Googled it. We were making jokes earlier, and I cracked a joke that I didn't know the meaning to, so we had to look it up. Oh, dear.
Yes. You said you had a nose full of nickels. Or you would give a nose full of nickels?
Well, okay. Well, basically it means... a nose full of nickels just means somebody over there. They got a nose full of nickels. It's somebody with the big schnoz. Or, as I'm reading further, was commonly in the olden times just kind of used as like slang to. I'm not even going to say this. No,
that's not good. What if we just said a nose full of Mike Nichols? Because I love Mike Nichols.
I love Mike Nichols too.
He did so many great things. I would take a nose full of Mike Nichols any day.
Absolutely. Give him a sniff.
Yeah, I'm sure he smelled delicious.
Why wouldn't he?
If I learned anything from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, it's that Mike Nichols smelled great.
Absolutely. Coming up, roses. Hey, if you want to share your love of theater with us and the world, you've got to make sure to be in on the action on social media. That means following us on all of our social media accounts at Theater Countdown, theater with an R-E, not E-R, because we're sophisticated, nearly British in our sophistication program.
Indeed.
Yes. Yes, and also you should rate us and you should review us. Yes. Because as we have threatened in the past, we will read our reviews. And guess what, Juddy?
What?
We got a review.
No.
Aye, we have.
We did.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Do you want me to read it to you?
Oh, I'm blooming do.
It's 5 stars.
Of course it is.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so this is from John in Kirkland, Washington. Yeah. And he says the following. Red leather. This podcast is the best new listen I've added to my catalog in 2024. I've looked forward to new episodes and have been listening to prior episodes between releases. The hosts are delightful and hilarious. That's us. This show has made me a better musical theater fan. Oh, wow. And as a West Coaster who doesn't get to Broadway but 1 or 2 times a year. Well, that, Johnny Washington, is the best thing we've heard all day.
Oh, my God. Not only are we hilarious, but we're informative.
We're making John a better musical theater fan.
Oh, my God, John. I'm thrilled.
John,
thank you.
John, thank you so much for that, and I hope you enjoyed our dramatic reading of your review. And if you want to celebrate us and support us even further and get in on the deep Theater Countdown action, you got to be a follower, a fan, a supporter, really, a family member on Patreon. So you just click the link in the liner notes. You can join us on Patreon. We're going to have online meetup groups. We've got an active Facebook group page just for us. You'll get all of our bonus episodes where we go even further into our listicles. So maybe, John from Washington, you want to consider budgeting $5 into your month to join us on that.
Yeah.
But
Only
thank you so much
$5.
for that. We love you so much, and if we were there with you, with your permission and consent, we would give you a double bear hug.
We would. And then we'd probably burst into song. Or, choreography that we all magically knew, like they do in movie musicals.
I would start it with something very contemporary, and I'd say, thank you, John from Washington. Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you. I had to go to my upper register.
That was beautiful. Honestly,
you.
I wouldn't even know where to chime in there. I feel like I would just sit in awe. I'd be like, wow, look at him go. John and I would just sit there and we would hold hands and we might cry just a little bit.
Absolutely.
And it would be a beautiful moment.
Let's give a shout out to our active Patreon members who just joined us this last week. Amber and Jeremiah.
Yes.
Kids, you have no idea how we're about to invade your lives on a much higher level. You are, Molly, you in danger, girl.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Yeah. You think
it's gonna be
these
delightful.
episodes are fun? Wait for those the bonus episodes when we get into our 11 through 15, and we know they're bonus episodes, so they're truly unhinged in a grand old time.
Yeah,
where we get into some strong opinions, and it's great.
And some hot tea about things we know.
Oh, yeah.
About
Scalding.
Ooh, it's scalding hot.
Oof.
Oof.
I don't know. I was about to go into a really weird voice, and I was like, "Ugh."
I did something really fun the other day. This was really cool. So there's a great organization called the Broadway Green Alliance. You can go to www.broadwaygreen.com. The Broadway Green Alliance did their third annual Broadway Earth Day concert in Times Square. And I was privileged, honored, and delighted, frankly, to be hosting the event, which featured performances from all sorts of Broadway stars, the stars of Aladdin and The Notebook and Moulin Rouge and Back to the Future and Sweeney Todd. Ruthie Ann Miles was there.
I saw that video. That was a lot of fun.
That was really fun. Yeah. She's the coolest, by the way. Ruthie Ann Miles, if you're listening, that was my first time meeting her. We've corresponded via email. And we all know and love Ruthie Ann Miles won a Tony Award years ago for playing
Lady Tiang. The King and I, one of my top 10 characters.
Yeah. But she's a hoot. We had such a good time. And I like this about people. And maybe, John, now that you've been hugged by us virtually, you can chime in here. I like somebody who gives you a hug like they mean it. And Ruthie Ann Miles gives you a meaningful hug. We hugged, and I felt her it was nice, tight, squeezy wheezy, and I liked that very much. But it was really cool, and one of the things that I thought was interesting, the Broadway Green Alliance talks about, and this is not a commercial for them, but I guess it could be, is what they do is they get the Broadway shows, and not only that, universities, theaters all over the country can join this. And they have what are called green captains within each show, just to help heighten awareness of what our environmental impact is backstage. So one of the things, it started with Wicked, and one of the things that they did is that they changed over from using regular batteries in the mics to using rechargeable batteries. And get ready for this number. They were able to then move from 15,000 batteries thrown away every year to 80 batteries.
Whoa. That's amazing.
It's huge. It's huge. And, just little things like water bottles, reusable water bottles backstage, and harvesting like opening night flowers and vases that people get, and then the flowers die, and the green captain will encourage people to gather together and then compost them. And there's other organizations that will take like pieces of scenery and repurpose them and retool them either into fashion or practical items that people can buy. It's really something. It was about 4 hours we spent in Times Square the other day celebrating Earth Day, and it was so cool because the Broadway community they rallied the wagons. They circled the wagons like nobody else. It was just a really neat thing to be a part of. And
what an amazing organization. And you hosted this.
And I hosted this.
You were the host. And I saw many of my favorite Broadway people giving you really lovely shout-outs.
Yeah.
You're the best host they've ever had. I was like, of course he is.
Well,
I know firsthand what a good host you are.
Golly gee.
You're very good at what you do.
Oh, nice.
It was fun watching all of it on various social clips all over the place. It seemed like a really fun day.
Well, and they also had Stars in the House, which is a very popular streaming program that was started by Seth Rudetsky during the pandemic, live streamed the whole thing too. So we got to reach people far and wide and all over the world through that, which was really, really neat. I just love anything that I get to do for Broadway Cares or Broadway Green Alliance, or it's really neat to be able to. I don't know. I mean, what we do is so, in show business in general, is so narcissistic, and so like, how dare we get on stage and demand applause and laughter? So I think any chance we get to actually use whatever skills, quote unquote,
that we have
for
that
good,
we possess,
is probably for the best. Because we're lucky to be able to do it.
Because if we learned anything from Once on This Island, Mama will provide.
Yes.
So we got to help her out as much as we can.
Yeah. Don't leave Mama out there providing on her own.
No. I love that. And also, who knew? I don't think of, when I think of Broadway, I don't honestly think of like waste. I guess it's not the first thing that you think of, but it makes sense. And I love that even like when you think about in our own daily lives, like those little things that you can do really add up. Like, you just talking about the batteries, like, blew my mind, where it's like, oh, whoa. I mean, I wonder what other little things I do every day that I could change that over the course of a year would make a big difference.
And one of their the mantra is it's impossible to be 100% green. It's not going to happen. We're not going to be able to do it. We create waste. Productions in particular will create waste.
Yeah.
But what can you do to be greener tomorrow than you were today? So some of the very little things that people are talking about is composting, which I've started doing from home, which is super easy in New York City, actually. It's not bad at all. But water bottles is a huge thing. Having a refillable water bottle is such a huge thing that we've been tricked into thinking that we have to drink out of these plastic water bottles, and it's cuckoo crazy pants. And they don't biodegrade, and it's just a nightmare. But another thing is a lot of people are saying that they don't use a lot of paper towels at home, that they have tea towels and hand towels that they use and just wash. And what was Ruthie and Miles was talking about? Tinfoil used, I don't know, from Hershey Kisses, but that you have to make sure that you gather them into a ball. I don't know. This is
and
getting
don't
weird.
chew them. If I learned anything from Footloose, you don't chew tinfoil. I didn't know that was a thing until I was in Footloose in high school, and I was like, why would anyone chew on tinfoil? And it's painful? This is bad for you?
Oh, well, I love that.
Luckily, I didn't go home and try it.
Now we know the difference in our ages, that you were in Footloose in high school and I was in Footloose on Broadway, which
okay, but you were on Broadway, which is very cool. When you said you dropped that a while ago, and I was like,
but
like the high school me got a little like, ooh, yeah, that's very cool.
But you do understand that to be in the Footloose, I had to be a full-grown adult.
Well,
you were
you had to be
playing a teenager, no less. But
to be fair, it was the hot new show when I was in high school. We were very lucky to get it, so it had just happened.
I'm just so surprised because you look much older.
I know, I get that a lot.
I'm gently ribbing you.
Sound like my mother.
I'm just teasing.
Who gave me Botox for Christmas.
Did she really?
Michael, last year. My mom's all about self-improvement. There's one year after she saw Brokeback Mountain, which we saw together, which I would not recommend.
No.
But my mom is very cool. I'll give her. We saw Brokeback Mountain, and afterwards she bought me, for my birthday that year, blue contacts. Because she was like, well, Jake Gyllenhaal is so handsome. He has those blue eyes and dark hair. Maybe if you had blue eyes and dark hair, you would work more. So she bought me blue contacts. And I tried to wear them, and all my friends were really weirded out. Because for friends who I have black hair and really dark brown eyes. So when all of a sudden I had these like bright blue eyes, they look great, but it was like jarring.
But you look you look like a.
But she was like,
maybe
if you looked more like Jake Gyllenhaal. One year she got me a personal trainer. She was like, Michael, for like a limited time when I was in grad school.
Telling me that she's purchased you for presents.
Like
blue contact lenses, a personal trainer, and Botox.
She's a clinical psychologist.
Is your mother Joan Rivers?
That's what she's doing.
Oh, that's
hilarious. My mom is very funny.
Oh my gosh,
I remember I was a kid.
magic.
There was one year she teased me when it was at that phase where it's like, you know, when boys grow up before they grow up. And I was like a little bit chubby, and she was like, "Oh, Mike, you're gonna have to play all the fat boy roles now." And I was like, "Mom, I'm 10."
Well,
and she was "You'll be fine."
My mother actively taped my middle in medical tape before I performed in Children of the Universe in 7th grade because my space costume was a mint green lycra unitard. And so to make
she made you a sticky girdle?
Yes. She made me a sticky girdle, and she bound my middle, and that wasn't the problem. So it really did kind of slim my line out at 12 years old.
Okay, so it worked.
But what was terrible
Terrible. What was?
Was getting it off.
Oh, I was going to say, that seems like the worst part.
My mother and I in a basement after the show with a bottle of lotion and some elbow grease, ripping this off of my 12-year-old tummy.
Because you're probably so sweaty. It probably solid.
Oh, and also, I'm not going to lie to you, feeling a lot of shame about my body.
I was going to say, this is not only were you wrapped in duct tape, which was horrible to take up, but the emotional side of that.
Well, do you know
what?
Wow. I've got something for us now that's a little more bright than the trauma shock that we feel from the way our mothers. I still love my mom.
She cracks me up. In hindsight, I think she's hilarious. Anyway,
I think she's
what do you got for us?
This is what I've got for you. So this just in regards to our Theater Countdown podcast that you are currently listening to, and I hope you're enjoying us talk about our mother shaming our bodies. But I want to tell you that this came up. Did you know, Michael Judson Berry, that Theater Countdown was selected by FeedSpot as one of the top 30 Book of Mormon podcasts available on the web. So I'm going to click the link now. Now, here's the deal. I can't wait to
go on this journey with you.
Yeah, we're in the top 30. Now, here's the thing. So when we heard about this, I was like, oh, well, we have talked about the Broadway musical, The Book of Mormon, quite a bit. I think it's an amazing Broadway cast recording. I think it's one of the funniest shows of all time. I have made some references to being brought up a Mormon. So I was like, oh, so maybe this is, their list of 30 podcasts about the musical, The Book of Mormon. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is absolutely not. The other top podcasts on the Book of Mormon podcast 30 best list. The first one is Seeking the Face of the Lord, the Book of Mormon. Lectures on the Book of Mormon. Next one is the Book of Mormon Storytime, an engineer's journey through the Book of Mormon.
This is a journey.
Tribe of testimonies between the lines of the Book of Mormon. Teacher in Zion podcast, the Book of Mormon Digging Deeper. And we are number 9.
We're number 9, so we're in the top 10. Not even top 30, we're top 10.
No, we're number 9.
We are in the top 10 best podcasts for the Book of Mormon.
Now,
wow.
I don't know. Now upon further investigation, I am going to say this looks like maybe our last season co-host and friend, Asmaret Geber McKell, was in the Book of Mormon on Broadway.
Oh.
So I don't know if we beat out Teens Read the Book of Mormon. We beat out Oh Remember podcast. We beat out the Joe and Smith podcast, Read the Book of Mormon with Us.
Oh, move over, Joe and Smith.
Yeah, so it is not a theatery podcast at all. It is a straight up religious experience podcast.
Yes, there we are.
We've cracked the top 10. So to all of you who are enjoying your Book of Mormon, you're getting your fill of your Book of Mormon for today by listening to the Theater Countdown podcast. I have the following song I'd like to sing for you. I looked out the window and what did I see? Popcorn popping on the apricot tree. Spring has brought me such a nice surprise. Popcorn popping right before my eyes. I could take an armful and make a treat. A popcorn ball that would smell so sweet. It wasn't really so, but it seemed to be. Popcorn popping on the apricot tree. Now, although you look puzzled, Juddy,
I am so confused as to what just happened.
Anyone who follows the top 30 Book of Mormon podcasts to listen to and decides to listen to and finds this episode will have just sung along with me on that song. And that's all you need to know. And I don't just have a nose full of nickels on this.
Of Mike Nichols, to be exact.
Of Mike Nichols.
Wow. Wow.
Can you believe that?
The popcorn ball smells so sweet.
Yeah.
I was so confused.
Yeah.
I was waiting for those lyrics to come back to be about religion in some way, shape, or form, and they were just about popcorn balls and apricot trees.
You'd wait forever.
Okay.
You would wait and wait and wait.
Wow.
So, okay. Well, now let's see.
Jokes.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Also, when you said, real quick, the engineer's guide to the Book of Mormon or whatever, all I could think was the engineer from Miss Saigon in the Book of Mormon. And I was like, I need that crossover show to happen.
Wait a minute.
I need him to get blown away by the helicopter and into the village in Africa.
Even better, the whole Miss Saigon 2, An Engineer's Journey, An Engineer's Guide, is about the engineer finally making it to America and being converted to Mormonism.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, so it's a crossover. It's Book of Mormon 2 and Miss Saigon 2 are the same show, and that's never been done before. You use one product, one show, as the sequel to 2 other shows.
I get on this. Who would you have write this show?
Who would I have write the show? We're writing the show.
We're writing the show.
Absolutely.
Great, done and dusted.
No. It's our IP.
Okay.
Intellectual property. there's so much going on in New York right now with shows opening. It's like crazy, but
Yeah.
I think we don't have time to talk about all of it right now. Except that I will say I did go to the pretend opening of Cabaret.
Oh, how was the pretend opening of Cabaret?
The pretend opening of Cabaret is you stand in a very, very long line and you can go on the step and repeat. And I was somebody's +1 and she really wanted me to go on the step repeat. And then she like brought me to the guy running the red carpet and who I know. And we were very late because we were really just standing in line because it was right after the Earth Day concert. So I had to like rush up there for a 4:00 curtain. We were at the concert until 3. And I looked at the guy. She really wanted us to get on the red carpet, and I looked at him and I said, "Please, I do not need to be on the red carpet for the. I am, although I'm very famous among Mormon podcast listeners, I'm not actually a celebrity, and I just don't need to go pretend to be one. How do you feel about this? Are you very happy to do it?
Think about that cruise ship experience.
Well, yeah, but are you very... I mean, listen, when you are in proximity to a red carpet, like, I think it depends on the degree of fanciness of the event. Like, if I'm hosting a concert event and they've got a step and repeat, yes, obviously I will stop and take photos, right? So that's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like I'm going to the opening of a show that I am either not in nor have I produced, I just don't... Like, I don't need to go and pretend to be famous for the sake of me being able to say I got my picture taken on a red carpet. That feels... How do you feel about it?
Oh, it's funny you ask, because I do it all the time. I literally did it last night.
Okay. So tell me.
But that's... Because I get invited to a lot of things because I have a pretty decent social media following.
Right, of course.
So...
Yeah. And by that he means huge. Follow him on social media.
Not huge. My sister calls me like the what she called me, like the Ford Focus of influencers. She's like you're above a micro influencer, but you're not like big, so you're sort of like a Ford Focus or like a Honda Civic.
Keep it in
of
focus,
the influencer
babe.
World. I'll take a Focus. They're very safe. They're good cars. Yeah. But yeah, so I get invited to go to things to like help promote them. So like movie premieres or like show premieres and stuff like that. And so from me, the red carpet thing is like part of the deal. Like, and it does feel a little bit weird sometimes because I'm like, I'll like do the post because it's like, for a lot of people following you, like they like that it's a picture of you like on a carpet, 100%. And then they're like, oh, what did you go to? And so that's why you kind of need it to like grab them. But most people are like, congratulations on the movie, and that's when it's weird. It's like I wasn't in it. I really had nothing to do. I just went. Because I got to watch a movie and get free drinks after, and movies are expensive now, so it's like a fun evening.
Totally. But no, that makes 100%.
And shows, but it's weird. It's awkward sometimes.
You have to, yes, and that makes sense because that's a fun thing, and you have been invited for the particular reason of being on the red carpet because when you step on there and take a picture and say I went to this show, that reaches.
It's the promo for and usually like I'll try and wear something and like.
Yeah.
A Ford Focus is, up to 5 people. 6 if you're an illegal Uber driver. But it's... but it is weird. There was one time, though, that was fun where, like, they thought I was in the cast because I showed up to the premiere of that Being the Ricardos, that movie with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. It was very good.
And I went to that was my first big red carpet. I was very excited about it. And I got there late, though, and the woman running it was very sweet and let me run on, but it was, like, with the cast. So I was in between... Tony Award winner Nina Arianda and Nicole Kidman, and I made my way down the carpet with them, and then I ended up in all of, like the magazine things where they were like the cast of Being the Ricardos. So that was the first one where people were all like, "Wait, you were in this?" Because I was like on it with the cast, and then when magazines were like the cast of Being the Ricardos, at the New York premiere, and I was there like with Javier Bardem like that. I was like,
my gosh, you're like, yeah,
that was a fun like sneaky sneak into it.
I played Little Ricky.
That's
really fun.
I was PA number 4.
Yeah, great. You were the best boy.
I was.
You were the third grip, whatever those terms mean.
Yeah, sure. I gripped the third.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But anyway, I'm so jealous you got to see Cabaret. I've heard great things about this revival. I've heard it's amazing. I've looked into it. You cannot get tickets to it. Unless you're willing to sell off your favorite relative.
Yeah.
But it looks fantastic.
It's what they've done with the theater and how immersive they have made it. It is absolutely unlike a Broadway experience I have had before. I absolutely felt like I was in a nightclub. It was very intimate. It is very dark, very dark. Some real disturbing moments. There's this like crazy, powerful, out of nowhere. I don't even know if I feel like it was earned, but boy was I into it. There's this really amazing moment where they've got this I don't want to spoil it. I mean, the set is like, it's in the round too, right? So you're sitting on the ground with like a little table in front of you, and then there's balconies on both sides. But the set rotates and rises and falls, but you're around it, so it's a circle. But there's an amazing moment where Bebe Neuwirth is singing her big song in the second act, and she plays Fraulein Schneider, and she's magnificent. And
I've heard,
they throw her on this like spinning rising birthday cake, and like throw all the intense like yellow light on her while she holds this long bellowing note, and the audience went over this like Bebe Neuwirth like grounded, guttural, flying through the sky, beams of light. I was like, "What's happening?" Bebe Neuwirth is risen. It's like Bebe Neuwirth Easter.
Way to go, Lilith. That sounds like the best fever dream that I want to have.
What
like, I will get malaria if I can have that fever dream. Like, that sounds amazing.
A fair trade.
Yeah, that sounds incredible.
So yeah, Eddie Redmayne's really, really cool and very interesting, and I have some friends on the show, and they were really great. And there's, of course, there's the pre-show that happens, but we're getting long-winded. I think we should play a game.
We should.
That's what I think. That's where I feel like we are.
Great.
All right, Sith, what do we got today, Chris?
Yay, games.
We have a game.
And
this one's called Lost in Translation.
How do we play?
Ooh, how very Scarlett Johansson of us.
I know, right? So I got some synopses.
Yeah.
Chris Arthanoptha.
Yes.
Yes.
Of some popular musicals.
Yes.
And then I ran them through Google Translate like 100 times in different languages.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my. Okay.
And so some of these I think still make sense, but we're just going to go through them. I have 6, so let's go ahead and just plow through them.
Great.
And you can both say if you guess it. There's no reason to ding in or anything. Feel free to play together.
All right. And you listening, you there. Yeah, you play along too.
You play too.
Everybody play.
I want to play.
I want to go to Moscow.
Moscow.
Here's the first one.
Okay.
Set in after Good World, follow him home and try to save his love from the world of crime.
Hadestown?
First one right away.
Yay!
Wow. That is bizarre. Okay.
Oh, that one was really weird.
From a world of crime. Hades is a world of crime.
I like After Good World. Like
After
the post-apocalyptic sort of thing.
Yeah.
After Good World.
This is crazy. Okay.
Here we go. Here's the next one. All the residents of the urban neighborhood live and pursue their dreams while singing.
In the Heights.
That's absolutely correct.
I was going to be like, Newsies?
All the residents of the neighborhood live their dreams through song. Every musical ever?
Yeah, I was going to say Annie, Newsies.
Next one. A person who keeps a place to make products becomes successful after catering to a unique group.
Kinky Boots.
Kinky Boots is absolutely correct.
A unique group. Oh, is that what we are? A unique group.
We are unique. In New York.
Unique New York. Unique New York. Unique New York.
You
All
did
right.
it.
Next one.
Arabesque.
A growing up tale about an artist dealing with herself and her gone father.
And her gone father? I mean, my first thought was Limpika, because she is an artist dealing with herself. As well as a few other people.
Well, that would be incorrect. I'll save you the buzzer, but that's incorrect.
An artist.
An artist after her father's gone.
Yeah.
Heidi? No.
Heidi. Is it
after her father's gone? I'm thinking about shows where Beauty and the Beast. Her father gets kidnapped.
That's incorrect as well.
Oh,
her father
she's
gets
not an
gone.
artist though. She's just an avid bibliophile.
Yeah. That's got to itch.
Ooh.
An artist?
This one premiered in 2015 on Broadway.
2015. I feel like everyone listening right now too is screaming it at us.
It
also won
everyone
a
at
Tony
home has
Award for Best
figured this
Musical.
out.
It won a Tony Award for Best Musical.
For Best Musical
in 2015.
Tony Award for Best Book of a Musical, and Tony Award for Best Original Score.
Oh, so this is a hit show. We're gonna feel very foolish when we
artist?
don't get this.
But see, I think we're thinking about artists in the wrong way.
Probably.
Yeah, it's
now I'm just thinking,
like-
what was the big Tony
like a-
winner in 2015?
Painting artist sort of thing, not a singing artist. If it
Oh,
helps.
so Limpika. I was on with
So
that.
it is Limpika.
It is not Limpika, no.
She won her Tonys in advance. What? Wait, we should just know what won Best Musical in 2015.
I know.
What kind of theater enthusiasts are we? It's the pre-COVID days, and so my brain
I
just
know.
stopped.
I'm looking it up because this is crazy. Oh,
Mhm.
Is it Fun Home?
It is Fun Home.
Now, okay,
Okay.
but that's
Let's
not
talk about
fair. It's not fair because the dad isn't gone. We go through the show with the dad before he's gone.
Yeah, I was thinking the dad's gone at the beginning, and that's her problem.
Yeah. But we spend a lot of the show with dad. Looking back.
And
When
I guess
I-
I forget that she's an artist and not just
Yeah.
a key enthusiast.
When I did
'Cause
put it
she
in
loves
the
a ring of
synopsis,
keys.
it wasn't that he was gone. So that just kind of came up somehow.
Up in the,
Interesting.
All right. So
Okay,
the
but
point is,
cool.
friends,
Yeah.
AI cannot replace Krith.
That's true.
That's right.
That's true.
Krith.
Okay.
Here we go. 2
Fun
more.
home.
This one
Okay.
seems pretty easy too, I think.
All right.
The story of a teen's dance-fueled fight for positivity and integration on her favorite TV show.
Hairspray.
Absolutely.
Hairspray.
right?
Okay.
So the last one. This sassy musical tells the story of the big boss's many women in the form of a concert where each woman competes to win the audience's sympathy.
6.
6 is also correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Yay. Is it bad that my first thought was 9? And I was like, oh, at least they're
Oh.
both numbers.
But that's it's not bad actually. Everyone's just
I was
kind of
like-
pleading their case for where they fit into his
Yeah.
life.
All the women, they all get a song. It could be a concert in some ways, depending on who's directing.
Or maybe better as a concert. I know you love it.
I know.
You love it so much. All right, thanks,
do.
Krith.
Thank you.
Thank you, artificial intelligence in the sky.
Wherever you are.
Let's get to the countdown.
Let's do it. Oh, that was so much fun. But yes, I guess we
Yeah.
need to get to the task at hand.
So-
we have done therapy, we have done games, we have done cabaret and BB Newirth, and now we're on to
And now we're
we
on
need to be
to the
doing.
reason we've tuned in. We're looking
Yes.
at musicals that need to be made into movies, in our opinion. And this was harder than we thought.
Yes.
And a lot of musical movies exist that I wasn't even really aware it existed. And the ones the ones as I was researching that don't exist as movies are a lot of musicals I've never heard of. So, you know what I mean? Are all the most Broadway
Yeah.
musicals none of us have ever heard of because dating back to the 30s, most of them ran for 2 weeks. You
Yeah.
know? So there's no way to know. So I took some liberties
Okay.
in this, and let's get a couple things out there as you were mentioning before. And maybe this is a whole other countdown sometime, but there are musicals that have been made into movies that they missed the mark so hard that it needs to be tried again. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
Can
it
that
won't
just be
happen.
top 10 musicals that deserved better?
Yes, 100%.
And,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so Phantom and
Sweeney
Rent
Todd
and Sweeney
and
Todd are the
Rent.
top of that.
Yeah.
All right, but here are musicals that we have not yet been made into movies, so far as we know,
Yes.
that we want to see. You want to go
Yes.
first?
I would love to.
Lerv.
Slurp. Okay. My first one is a new musical.
Okay.
That had sort of a tempestuous moment on Broadway, but Paradise Square.
Aha, yes.
I saw Paradise Square before I knew anything about it. I saw it on a Tuesday night. It got a full standing ovation. That big song "Let It Burn" that she did at the Tonys that won her Tony.
Yeah.
And she was, oh my God, that was very
Unbelievable.
cool.
Yeah.
But I know that show there's a lot around it, and go ahead and Google Friends if you don't know. But I think that would be a great movie, sort of in in the tone of like if Scorsese, somebody like that took it and did it sort of like a Gangs of New York type movie.
100%.
Where big, or like Spielberg, big splashy soundstagey New Yorky movie. I think the themes in it are very relevant. About interracial love, about sort of a Trumpy character who comes in and preys on people who are just afraid and angry, who riles a mob to do things that they shouldn't, and a strong woman who stands her ground. I think there's a lot of really cool themes in there. There's a lot of room for like big fun cinematic dance numbers, and it could just be a show that when they go to rewrite it for the film, I think it almost just might work better as a movie than it did for a show.
And I'm seeing those big
the burning
numbers.
of New York, like you can see it on the big screen. This would be a pretty epic movie musical.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm thinking of like In the Heights and West Side Story, kind of those filmed New York street scenes musicalized, but in like a let's go further back in history kind of way would be really cool.
Yeah. So I think that could be a very fun movie.
I think it's interesting that you brought up like kind of like Gangs of New York, because for everything that's on my countdown, I see the film that I want to exist in my head, and it's always attached to a film that I am aware of or know that I go, this is the lens I think I would see this through. So
totally.
I did the same thing. Excellent choice.
Thank you.
Let it burn.
Oh my God, let it burn. Oh, when she held that note at the end.
Forever. With just that single tear that was like, Tony.
Oh, no, when I saw it, every fluid was coming out of her face the night I saw it. And I was in the second row center. And I didn't know that song was coming. And I was like, like, it knocked my socks off. Yeah. Oh, my God. That was one of those Broadway moments that I will never forget, is Let It Burn. Oof.
Yeah.
Standing ovation on a Tuesday night. I was
Come
like,
on.
that is how you bring home an 11 o'clock number.
We got to talk to her for the Tonys on my other show, the Broadway Cast. We did a Tony special when she was nominated before she had won, and I remember talking to her and kind of alluding to the fact that it seemed like the momentum was definitely in her corner for that. She was, and also just very cool to see somebody do such a ferocious performance, and then she was like, you're talking to her and looking at her, and she's just so kind of sweet and soft-spoken and nice and kind, and you're like, oh, you're saving the burn for the stage, baby. All right.
Clearly. Amazing.
Number 10 on my list is an off-Broadway musical that I think would be a very cool, hyper-stylized musical movie, and that's Andrew Lippa's The Wild Party.
Oh,
I
fun.
almost feel like I want it to be filmed as like a film noir, but like maybe almost like sepia-toned, like oldie-timesy silent film. Because it's very, very jazz age 20s, underbelly of New York, all these crazy characters, and I just think you could make it so rambunctious and so it's the style of it. I think if you shot it like a movie from 1935, it could be really cool. And with the way musical movies certainly are shot today, almost like music videos, they change. You get to see so much so fast. I just think it would be really cool, but I think to have it be in a full black and white Clairvaux kind of almost thing would be so interesting.
Ooh, yeah. Almost like a German experimental film from the 30s.
Yeah, German expressionistic film.
Yeah.
I'm making a lot of that sound today. Yeah.
I love it. You're very Jeffrey Rush in Pirates of the Caribbean, and I am here for it. I think it's wonderful.
This is how I'm expressing excitement today. Oh, yeah. And it would feature very cool Charleston-based numbers like this one. So it's Baz Luhrmann. It's a Baz Luhrmann film, but instead of all of his signature bright reds and colors, he goes full like sepia tone, grainy, oldie timesy, organ playing along to the movie kind of look. But all of those like people literally singing from the chandeliers and drinking bathtub gin and ripping petticoats. Oh, can you imagine?
Oh, I love a ripped petticoat. Oh my goodness. Ooh, I love this.
Number 9 to you, my friend.
Number 9. Okay, no, before we discussed the biopic thing about like not wanting a musical about a person turned into a movie, and
But
we
we
were
got
talking about
one.
Cher. But there is one, and I thought about them, and I was like, okay, because now every season there is a biographical musical
Yes.
about a musician, at least one. But I think the one that I would watch is the movie, because I know Jersey Boys tried,
Yes.
and it was, but I think Beautiful. I think Beautiful,
Yeah?
the Carole King musical.
Okay.
I actually think that one would be a really fun, interesting movie musical, because it's so, you could make it so 60s, so
Yeah.
50s, 60s. So much of the movie is about that building in Times Square.
The Brill
where, like,
Building.
Yeah, and so I think you could make it almost also about like the history of that. Make
Yeah.
it feel very sort of like slick and like Mad Men-esque.
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
way,
yeah.
Which that production was very slick and cool in 60s. You know,
Yes.
everything was in those shades of yellow. But at the core of it, this really cool story about this woman. And I think there's a great way you could do the music where it's not like the songs are happening by the singer singing them. So it's not like we
Yeah.
go into somebody's imagination. We
Right.
don't have to worry about going into like this magical world where people just burst into song, because almost all of the songs happen when they're either writing them, pitching
Yeah.
them, or performing them, or
Can
recording
you remind
them.
me in Beautiful, and I did see it, but can you remind me, did they ever take the songs into just a narrative place for the characters?
They
Or
would
was
sort of-
everything presented in a recording studio writing, presentational, this is the recording session kind of way?
They did. Some of them. Like when she does Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? Like they go from the recording into her by herself just singing it, like on her own. I think Cynthia Weil and her husband, they had a moment where they did like a song together.
Okay.
But you're right. I mean, that was sort of the nice thing about that musical. Even the times where they just sort of burst into song, they were composers, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't be unusual for him to just like pick up a guitar and start to sing to her.
Sure.
So that's why I think this would actually translate into just a great movie about Carole King.
Yeah.
And with her canon of music. So that's why I think this, of all the biopic ones, this one would work.
When you first said it, I didn't believe it, and now that you've sold it, I'll buy it.
And there's not 3 carols, there's just one. We don't have to worry about the tri-star thing.
We just need
You
somebody
know.
who's got the range and some good CGI age makeup.
Yeah,
That's what we need.
Because we could do Tina, but we already have a great movie about Tina Turner.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
You know.
Angela Bassett was sitting in front of me at Cabaret.
that's cool.
Yeah. It's very weird when you see like mega movie stars like that in real life, and you're like, wait a minute, you're
like-
you're a human person.
You're like, whoa.
Wait, you have
Yeah.
dimension. You have dimension and shape. That's weird.
Wow.
Bernadette Peters was down the other side, and I just every time I'm reminded. I saw her actually at intermission strutting through the lobby, and she is so small.
She
is so
She's
tiny.
a little pocket person. Yeah.
She is 5'1". She is so little, and she's got this 90 pounds of red curls on her head. It's
Oh
unbelievable.
yeah, and she's usually in 12-inch heels and
yeah.
packed into a dress. Like
Yeah.
if Ethel Merman was a bratwurst, like Bernadette Peters. Like whenever I see her, I do think of just like a little sausage.
Yeah,
like a
she
tiny
is.
little sausage.
She up in a wrap dress, and her boobies look great
Big red
every
curls.
time.
Oh yeah, they are.
She knows
Those
it,
girls
too.
are. Oh yeah. That's why she wears this dress.
Yeah.
Anyway, love
Yeah.
her. She can do no wrong in my book.
No, agreed. All right,
Number
my,
9.
My number 9, and this is where I'm taking a little liberty, and you may scoff.
Okay.
So prepare for scoffing.
Okay,
But
I'm ready.
I'm choosing. I think there needs to be a computer animated, all of the Lorax, Seussical the Musical. I think there needs to be.
Oh, I'm not going to scoff at that. That would be great.
Don't you think? Like the
Yes.
Lorax and what are some of the other ones that they've done? They've been using the Dr. Seuss canon to make these really cool, like major release, full feature, big stars with doing the voices.
Yeah.
Films that are, I mean, for kids or not, they're animated in this really cool way, and you've got all of these Seuss characters in there, and it gives you full license to sing whenever and however you want. And I just think how delightful.
Yeah.
How delightful. I don't think it would work. You'd go very Zoobly Zoo if you tried to do it with like actors dressed as bird people.
Yeah, no.
But just Lorax that. Lorax, the living Bajuji out of Suzuka
Yeah.
the Musical.
All the Bajujis.
Yeah. And it would sound something like this.
Things you can think and wonder and dream far and wide as you dare. All the things you can think when your things have run dry. In the blink of an eye, there's another thing there. If you open your mind, all the things you will find lining up to get loose. All the things you can think, all the things you can think, all
Yeah.
the things you
Did
can
they-
think, all the things you can think, all the things you can think when
When you think about Susan. Did they do, is there
fun.
a Horton movie that came out not too long ago, too?
I think so. Yeah,
There
they
was the
did.
Laura, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
let them sing, let the regular cast of movie stars, singers in there. Let Ariana DeBose voice
Oh, yeah.
Gertrude, and let Kevin Chamberlain voice Horton. It's all in there for you. But I just think
Yeah.
that make it a major release, animate it. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Delightful.
I would love that.
Release
Love
it at
that.
Thanksgiving. I dare you, you cowards.
Yes.
Bring
exactly.
the family.
Exactly. Well, my number 8 is one that you probably think you might like when you see the poster. You'd be like, "Oh, I can bring the family at Thanksgiving," but then you can't because it's Avenue Q.
Okay. All right. I was playing around with this in my mind. You need to sell this to me because how is this? How does this look?
Yeah, because I'm sorry.
Raspberries.
I just became Carol Channing trying to scat. Eat up,
Bop Joe Boo. Bajubi.
But jewels and diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Best friend.
Dear, I don't mean rhinestones.
No.
I mean, talk about another fun movie musical, like Do the Gentlemen Prefer Blondes movie musical, but the way the show was when it was Carol Channing, not the way they did it for Marilyn Monroe. Very different movie.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was good for me.
Avenue
Q.
So Avenue Q. What I was going to say, because my list was longer, and this was one of the ones that I was on the fence about, but then I was like, no, I think I do want to keep this. Because I think it would just be so funny as like a weird little indie film, sort of like Reefer Madness.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a big, like, in theaters one. This is, like, a strange little, like, adult version of, like, Fraggle Rock the movie.
Yeah.
And sort of shot like a weird little PBS show, and definitely, like, a movie for, like, musical theater nerds who are also, like, big stoners.
Yeah.
And you get sort of, like, somebody like a Kristen Bell who's, like, a star, but who's down to play. And,
Excellent
not Kristen Bell,
casting.
obviously, but like I was just thinking again, Reefer Madness.
But totally Kristen Bell.
Yeah, like she could voice Kate Monster. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of fun to be had with this, and especially if there's like at some point sort of a weird turn where you see the people behind the puppets. Like, I think this, if you're like a weird offbeat.
Yeah.
Or not weird to say. If you're a great director with sort of a very offbeat sensibility, you could come up with something very fun with Avenue Q.
Because that's the biggest thing, right? Because what was kind of revolutionary about Avenue Q and why it worked and what was so brilliant about it was the merging of puppet to actor, where you see everybody and they're both kind of doing the thing. But in a world where you're filming it, where you wouldn't need the actor per se, that's very interesting. Maybe you do still include that somehow.
Maybe, yeah. So I think there's just a lot of room to play for a director. But I think it is sort of like an offbeat indie festival movie.
Yeah.
That much like the musical. Maybe it wins Best Picture. Who knows? After only playing in art houses.
Oh my gosh, they should release it this coming Christmas or the following.
They should.
And they can beat Wicked at the Oscars.
There we go. Perfect. But yeah, so that is my number 8.
Excellent. My number 8. Counting down. My number 8 is, I really do mean this, but it's inspired by our friend who we had on the show recently. I'm just so excited. Douglas Lyons is doing the film treatment for Big River, and I just think I'm so into that. And I wasn't just blowing smoke up his hiney. I really think that's going to be a beautiful, beautiful piece. So I think Big River. Let's do it. Let's make it. I think it would be. And excellent film. I think, yeah, I mean, it all comes down to the director's vision when it comes to film, right? Because just a lot of times, just playing it totally straight without kind of creating a world in which music can exist can really backfire, right? Phantom of the Opera. Right? It's very, very tricky. So I don't know what the storytelling lens is that we're telling this through, but I just think with the, you see the grand swooping aerial shots of the Mississippi, and you're, in the darkness of the caves that Huck is in, and I'm very excited about that, and I think it's going to be amazing, and I will rush to see it.
Yes.
And it'll sound something like this.
Look out for me. Oh, muddy water. Your mysteries are deep and wide. And I got a need for going someplace.
Great.
Got a need to climb upon your back and ride. Look out for me. Oh, muddy
So picture it.
Your mystery.
It's the River Wild meets Hee Haw. Picture it. That's the elevator pitch. It's the River Wild meets Hee Haw. It's totally. I think it's in there. I think it's in the pocket.
Yeah,
I would love.
I
to
think
see
this
it.
is going to be
Get
great.
Some good country. There's some jug band action. There's some dirt.
Dirt and a river.
Overalls.
Yep. A lot of room for celebrity cameos too. From singers, like singers. I feel like that's one that you could really plunk in a lot of people who are actors but who are like big singers. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. Big River.
I like that one. Big River. My next one, slightly different tone. Strange Loop.
Okay.
I think Strange Loop could be a very cool movie musical, just because I feel like it's another sort of out there musical. So you could cinematically, I think, really play with it as far as style goes and as far as what happens in this person's mind. Yeah. And I think it basically would then be if you were to do the movie version, it's sort of a straightforward movie about this person and what they're going through and their challenges and their kind of at times like really horrible experiences. Yeah. And all the musical numbers and all those other characters are all just in this person's brain, and that's how they cope with their life. Yeah. And I think that could be in a movie, the juxtaposition of this like gritty, really difficult real life, and then this place, this musical, colorful place where this person escapes to, and how they choose to tell their story could be very cool to watch on film.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that musical was also very short, and so there's room to even expand within that if you were to make it into a full feature film. Yeah. So I would just love to see how that could be taken,
I like it. It.
Sort of like a much grittier style of Chicago.
Yeah.
And you could like really go dark, sort of like what was the movie that won Best Picture that was so good? The indie film about the young gay man.
Moonlight.
Moonlight, where it's like, imagine if like Moonlight in Chicago had a baby.
Yeah, there's the elevator pitch.
There's the elevator pitch. Yeah, that. So I just think you could go somewhere really interesting with Strange Loop.
I do too. Yeah, it's going to be about the flipping between the two realities, the in the brain reality and the kind of If you made the real life stuff, if you even shot it in such a way and lit it in such a way that it was really kind of dark and grimy and gritty. Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of like our one of our network producer friends, the fabulous Eric Peterson, and has that show.
Can F himself?
Yeah. Where it exists half in like Candy Color sitcom world with him, and then reverts into the drama, real gritty, awful. Like you would never be able to handle living with this man, in real life, kind of thing. That makes me think of that.
Yeah.
My number 7, I just think that this is such a no-brainer, and this kind of circles back around from a movie turned into a musical that should now be turned into a musical movie. And I just think because it is what it is, you can get away with absolutely anything. Okay. And the world deserves to see Spamalot on film.
Oh,
Easy
yes.
breezy. I don't even have
Yes.
I don't even have to sell it. We already have No Love, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is such a classic, and then this musical came out. So now shoot it just like, but like with all the fun new technology that we've got, shoot it just like the original Monty Python movie.
Yeah.
Maybe with some better high def, and just add the songs in and the musical numbers around them, and it would be, you don't have to reimagine this one at all.
No, that world is
just-
so deliciously wacky.
Yeah, that you will
it's-
forgive all singing of all songs, no
Yeah.
problem. No
And the
problem
original
whatsoever.
still has a song. It has Knights of the Round Table. Like, they already did. And it's, I mean, they don't have horses. They just have coconuts.
It's
like,
all
it's
there.
not a leap to be like,
Yep.
into Finding Your Grail. Yes, 1000% the Spamalot movie.
Hit it, Chris.
And there's nothing you can do. You can do. So we
Now, don't you think they've got to be working on this, right? There has
They've
to
been
be a
working on it
world.
forever.
They have.
Like, I remember when I
That's
was
right.
in
You're
the
a
tour.
Spamalot guy. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in the tour, they were talking about it. And we all were like, oh my God, when is this going to happen? And can I
wanna
be
be
in
in it. Yeah.
I remember when I met Eric Idle, part of me wanted to be like, thank you for your kind words, but also put me in the movie.
Yeah.
I really wish, because I think that original Broadway cast was so perfect in this.
Yeah.
I wish they had just like really quickly gotten that movie out. Like Sarah Ramirez, Chris Sieber, I mean,
Tim
I almost said
Curry,
Tony Danza,
Hank
but
Azaria.
Hank Azaria,
Hank
like
Azaria.
David Hyde Pierce. Like, it was so tailored to them. That I wish they had just real quick just gotten, with John Cleese and Eric Idle and just gotten together and done it.
I just, there's no issue with the rights, I can't imagine, because
No.
they're the ones putting it on. I just think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Just man up and do it.
Yeah, it's screaming. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, easy breezy.
100 times yes. Okay, my number 6.
OMG.
We're coming to the end of the episode.
Oh.
Is because, as I said, I'm a big old movie buff and an
Yes.
old TCM buff.
Yes.
I would love to see City of Angels turn into a movie musical.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this show before. I love City of Angels, and I think, again, with the duality, the two worlds thing, two worlds, one family. Speaking of Tarzan, of movie musicals with Glenn Close, but no cigars. I would love to see City of Angels. I think you could have a lot of fun with that, where it's 2 period pieces for the price of one.
Yep.
And if you're somebody like me, what a joy. And again, so fun to play with stylistically, like the song "Like You're Nothing Without Me," and you have the one who's still in black and white, and still so film noir, but now he's stepped into the other one's world. And how do you balance that?
Yeah.
And how do they crisscross in each other's worlds? And then also that you get basically 2 movies, but how do you merge them for those duets?
Yeah.
I think could be so fun, because the men are the only ones who are really aware of each other, because the women have those duets, but they're more still, I think, parallel worlds,
Yeah.
right? They're not really communicating as much. So but I think that could be so fun and slick and cool.
Oh, absolutely. I think that the musical and the productions we have that have tried to really emulate something that is intrinsically cinematic. This idea of black and white versus the color, that is a film thing, and about a show that happens in a film town around.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about
of
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, okay, well, now take this thing that we kind of invented for the theater to mimic it, and now let's just do it.
Yeah.
Why is
For real, let's just do it.
my attitude towards all of these is like, get off your butts, people. Just
Do it.
Make these movies for us.
Yes. I mean, though, as we discussed, there are already an
problem?
awful lot of movie musicals.
I know.
But yeah, I would love to see City of Angels.
I like that very, very much.
Thank you.
That could be a clue.
Thank you.
Listen up, friends. we're coming to the end of the episode. We will be back with our top 5 musicals that need to be made into movies with a very special guest. Tyler Joseph Ellis shares his top 5, and we go all the way to number 1. So make sure you're following us on social media at Theater Countdown, Theater with an RE, because we're sophisticated.
Yes.
Be a friend, be a supporter on Patreon. Leave us a review, rate us, share us with your friends.
Sure do.
Just.
We're the
And-
gift that keeps on giving.
We'll keep giving it till we've got no more to give.
It's true.
Till we've got no more get.
It's true.
And with that, my number 6, and go with me on this.
Okay.
I see this as like a crazy, like really chaotic, almost filmed like reality television style, like 9 Empire Records, like 90s, early 2000s throwback, like MTV grunge thing where all the imagery is just kind of chaotic and twisted. And I think that American Idiot,
Ooh,
the
that's
Green
not
Day
what I thought you were going to
musical,
say.
would be an awesome
Ooh.
movie to just film it
Okay.
like recklessly with cameras kind of flying all around and
Yeah.
and everything like flips upside down and there's skateboards. And,
Oh my God. I don't know why. I
just-
thought you were going to say Spring Awakening with
Oh.
that lead up.
I thought
But this, I am so much more excited about this.
just raw and kind of
yes.
like period and like angsty because they threaded it. Started as a concept album. So back in the day, like with Tommy, they did the concept album, made this movie based around the fact that they had kind of meant to have this as this story that existed. So I think it makes a lot of sense to put it like you can go to the specifics in the places that you could do. You can only do a cinema that that we had to do is kind of like artful metaphors in the stage production. I just think it would be so angsty and cool and would just be a really cool visual ride into like the underbelly of the forgotten generation.
I love this. I love this.
Right? I
Oh
think
my
so.
God. I
think
haven't thought
so.
about that musical in a hot minute too, and thank you for the reminder because I had a blast at that.
Yeah. The vision of it is so clear in my head. I don't know how to work a camera, but if I did, boy, would I start making this movie tomorrow. Nor do
Oh
I
my
know how
God,
to get the
please
rights.
do.
Yeah. Just kind of run around with the camera and like, wow,
Yeah.
so we'll let that play us out. But
Yes,
American
please.
Idiot,
American
the
Idiot.
musical film.
Yes.
It's so cool. I think that would be so rad. All right. That's it.
That's it. We did it.
We did it. And
Let's let it play us out, shall we?
yeah,
Oh,
but first we got to sign off. Our
We
very
do.
secure sign off.
we do.
Thanks for joining us. And that's
Showbiz,
Showbiz, kid.